aquí con Robert Schwartz. Buenos días, Robert. Good morning, Robert.
Buenos días.
Robert lleva años indagando, con la ayuda de algunos mediums, lo que ocurre en el otro plano antes de nuestro nacimiento, la forma en que planeamos los principales acontecimientos de nuestras vidas. Sus libros El plan de tu alma y El don de tu alma, de Editorial Sirio, abordan la experiencia de casos de muchas personas que pueden ser paradigmáticos y que nos pueden dar la clave para entender mejor aquello por lo que podemos estar pasando nosotros mismos. En sus libros aprendemos, por ejemplo, el porqué del maltrato o de la pobreza o de las discapacidades o de las adicciones o de los accidentes. Son aspectos demasiado variados para tratarlos en una entrevista, de modo que centraré mis preguntas en algunas inquietudes en particular. Las respuestas a muchas otras preguntas pueden encontrarse en los libros, que son auténticas minas de información. Your books are a wealth of information.
Oh, gracias.
Robert, the first question, la primera pregunta, ¿qué somos nosotros, Robert? En relación con lo que sería nuestra alma o en relación con Dios, nosotros aquí, ¿qué somos?
Well, if I may, I would like to begin by inviting your viewers to visit my website, which is www.yoursoulsplan.com. And for those who read English, they can read large portions of the books for free on the website. I also invite people to sign up for my email newsletter. My understanding is that God is literally all that is. God's divine presence is in everything, every being. The soul is what you could call a spark of God, a very small portion of God's energy. And the personality, that would be you and me and everyone listening to the interview. The personality is a spark of the soul. So it's a decrease in the amount of energy. And yet, despite that, as I understand it, the soul contains all of the wisdom, the love of God, and the personality, even though it may not be aware of it, contains all the love, wisdom of the soul. It's within, we just have to discover it.
¿Podemos decir entonces que tenemos un alma o que el alma nos tiene a nosotros o que nosotros estamos aquí con una parte de nuestra alma? ¿Cuál es exactamente la relación?
I think the most accurate way to phrase it is to say that you are your soul. But the soul, as I understand it, is a vast, multi-dimensional energy. So it's here in the third dimension as you and as me and as everyone who watches the interview. But it's present in many, many other dimensions. It has other physical lifetimes going on concurrently. It also has non-physical lifetimes going on at the same time. So the soul is a vast multidimensional energy field.
¿Podemos decir que hay como una parte del alma que nunca entra en la dualidad en experiencias como las que hay en este plano?
I think we can say that. There's a part of the soul that remains at an ultra-elevated, extremely high vibration. But having said that, the soul is experiencing duality through you, through me. So when we talk about personality and soul, it sounds like there's a separation or a distinction between the two. But really, there is no separation. You are your soul.
Me pregunto cómo la parte del alma, ¿no?, que no sale nunca de la no dualidad, cómo aprende o cómo se enriquece de experiencias que tienen lugar en la dualidad.
The portion of the soul that is not in duality is not experiencing contrast. It's in a realm of great love and light and peace and joy. So that portion of the soul because there's no contrast to the love, to the joy, that portion of the soul doesn't fully understand or appreciate the realm of love. It would be like if there were only one color in the world. You wouldn't really understand what that color is because there's no other color to offer contrast to it. So this is one of the main reasons why the soul creates a personality that comes into duality for the experience of the contrast, the not love, so to speak. So we all experience a lot of not love in a lifetime. And then when you go back to spirit at the end of a lifetime, that contrast brings back to the soul a much more profound self-knowing of what it means to be an unconditionally loving being.
Este plano en el que estamos ahora, ¿qué podemos decir de este plano? ¿Quién lo creó? ¿Para qué sirve?
As I understand it, God created the earth plane because there was a desire to experience physicality, a desire to experience contrast. So again, God is the ground of all being. God is present in everyone and everything. And God is experiencing itself from billions of different viewpoints through you, through me, and through beings on other planets and other non-physical lifetimes.
Podemos decir que la finalidad última de todo proceso que tenemos es una mayor comprensión del amor.
I think when you distill it all down, that is basically what we are doing here. We are unconditionally loving beings who come from a realm of unconditional love. But again, because there's no contrast in that realm, we come here for the experience of the contrast, the not love. So basically, we are learning lessons in giving and receiving love. I think that really is the bottom line.
Supongo que es... a ver, ¿cómo lo ve usted? Cuando hemos acabado todo el proceso de aprendizaje aquí en que hemos tenido muchas experiencias muchas veces relacionadas con el dolor para ir descubriendo este amor, ¿usted cree que cuando finalmente realizamos ese amor y esa unión con la divinidad, todo este dolor queda olvidado para que de alguna manera el dolor no esté ahí como formando parte de la divinidad más pura? ¿O qué ocurre con todo este bagaje, ¿no? Con todo este bagaje que hemos tenido en todo este tiempo?
I don't think the suffering is forgotten, but I'm not sure that it's looked at as suffering. As I understand it from the level of the soul, there's no judgment about anything that happens here. You know, you and I and everyone listening to the interview, we have judgments about the things that happen in our lives. And in general, pleasurable experiences are judged as good, and painful experiences are judged as bad. But your soul has no such judgments. It views everything with complete neutrality. It's like the soul is sitting on the bank of a river, and these experiences are drifting by. Some are painful to the personality, some are pleasurable, but the soul views all of them with complete neutrality, and the soul views all of them as opportunities to learn, to expand, to evolve, to give and receive love, as we discussed. So the painful experiences, they're not forgotten. They become part of the soul literally for all eternity, but not from the perspective of being judged as bad. They become part of the soul as opportunities to give and receive love. Could I explain to your audience that I'd like to share a little bit about what I did in the book so that they can understand. You know, I interviewed people about very common life challenges. Physical illness, mental illness, financial challenges, relationship challenges, adoption, abusive relationships, rape, incest, alcoholism, drug addiction, blindness, deafness, basically all the major challenges that anybody could face in a lifetime. Some of them are in El Plan de tu Alma, the others are in El Don de tu Alma. And after interviewing someone, that person would have 1, 2, or sometimes 3 sessions with very gifted mediums and channels who could find out if the person planned the experience before they were born and why they planned it. For example, one of the channels in El Donde Tu Alma channels Jesus. And so I talked with Jesus directly, and I asked him, did this person plan this experience before he or she was born? And if so, why? And of course, Jesus knows everybody's life plan. He's an omniscient being. So he's able to tell us, yes, this very painful experience was planned. And as hard as it may be to believe that, here are the reasons why this person wanted to have this very difficult experience. So we find out the reasons why souls want to have all these very painful experiences. And again, what it comes down to is opening our hearts, learning to give and receive love. It may sound harsh, but I think many, many people learn best by having their hearts broken open through some kind of painful experience. That is a very common experience here in the third dimension. And it is possible to evolve certainly through love and joy. But for those beings who need the experience of having their heart broken open so that they can become more loving and access their true nature, the earth is a place where you can have that kind of experience. And so souls are planning to come here to do that.
¿No hay un cierto tipo de riesgo en lo de aprender a través de experiencias dolorosas, en el sentido de que no hay el riesgo de que se acumule trauma sobre trauma y se haga todo cada vez más difícil?
Well, let me share a story from one of the books to answer your question. In El Plan de Tu Alma, there is an entire chapter about the pre-birth planning of accidents. And I put accidents in quotes because they're not really accidents, they're planned. There are two stories in that chapter. One of the two stories is about an American woman named Christina. She's now in her 60s, but she shared with me a story that took place many years ago when she was in her 20s. She was employed as an administrative assistant at a college in California. And one of her duties in that job was to pick up her boss's mail every day. So on one particular day, just as she had done many, many times before, she walked down the stairs to the mailboxes, which were in the basement of this building. Unbeknownst to her on that day, somebody had planted a pipe bomb in the mailbox. So when Christina put her hand into the mailbox to pick up the mail, the pipe bomb detonated. And the force from this explosion was so great that it picked her up off the ground and threw her 10 feet backwards against a concrete wall. There were 6-foot splinters of wood that were shot like arrows out of a bow into the wall around her. The explosion severed 2 fingers, it ruptured both of her eardrums, and flames from the explosion scorched Christina's body from head to toe. When she got to the hospital, doctors actually had to hold magnets over her eyeballs to extract the little bits of metal from the pipe. So we're talking here about a level of suffering that's almost unimaginable to the average person. Her recovery took 2 years and 10 reconstructive surgeries. At one point during this 2-year period, Christina was lying in her hospital bed in a tremendous amount of pain when she heard a voice inside her head, a voice that was not her own. It turns out that the force from this explosion, in addition to doing a lot of damage to her body, had opened up her psychic gifts. She had become clairaudient. The voice she heard inside her head that day was one of her spirit guides. And the guide said to her, "You planned this." Of course, she said, "Why?" And then the guide told her, and here's what he said. He said, "You wanted before you were born to have a lifetime as a gifted healer. And you knew that if you could heal yourself from the devastating effects of this bomb explosion, you could then take all of that wisdom and knowledge about healing and turn it outward in service to others." This is exactly what she went on to do. After she recovered from the surgeries, she got a PhD in speech-language pathology. She set up a private practice. And at this point in her career, she's healed literally thousands of people. She actually has the ability to go into a patient's brain energetically, non-invasively, and restore language processing capability in people who have lost that due to stroke or accident. So she's a remarkably gifted healer. And the only reason she can do this is because she healed herself first from the bomb explosion. Now, when I interviewed her for El Plan de tu Alma, she said two amazing things to me. One was, she said, Rob, I have completely forgiven the person who planted the bomb. Now, given her level of suffering, that in and of itself is a remarkable statement. But then she said something even more amazing. She said, Rob, I am deeply grateful to the person who planted the bomb. And when she says she's deeply grateful, she really means that she's deeply grateful. This, to me, is one of the most amazing stories I've seen that shows what you can do with an awareness of your pre-birth plan. Now, your question was, isn't it risky? Couldn't things go wrong? Couldn't they go in the other direction? Well, the answer is absolutely yes. You know, you can easily imagine that she could have chosen to be bitter and resentful for the rest of her life. She could have chosen to be angry for the rest of her life. She might even have chosen to devote the rest of her life to taking revenge and tracking down the bomber. But because Christina came into an understanding of her pre-birth plan and actively worked with it over a period of years, she was able to get to that place of complete forgiveness and then that place of complete gratitude. Now, her story is unusual in that it's a bomb explosion, but she herself is not unusual. If she can do this in regard to her experience, you and I and everyone listening can do it in regard to our experiences. We can all work with an awareness of our pre-birth plan to get to that place of forgiveness and then to that place of gratitude. This is the power of knowing your pre-birth plan. It pulls you out of victim consciousness, which is the single lowest vibratory state a human being can be at. And victim consciousness tends to be self-perpetuating because when you vibrate at the frequency of victim, you are stating to the universe that you are a victim, and the universe always says yes to whatever you say. So then the universe brings you more experiences that seem to confirm to you that you are in fact a victim. It can be a tough place to get out of. But one very powerful way to get out of that cycle is to understand that you are the powerful creator of your life. You planned your major and many of your minor experiences before you were born. And once you know that you are that powerful, that you are a creator of what you experience, again, it pulls you out of victim consciousness. Now, not everybody likes this because there are secondary benefits to being a victim. It's a source of identity to some people. It gets sympathy and support from others. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of the human experience. But when you're ready to move beyond that place of being a victim and let go of that identity, one very powerful way to do it is to understand that you planned your life and your biggest challenges before you were born, just like Christina planned to be in the bomb explosion. Mm-hmm.